Tanse, I'm Kristinashkate. Welcome to a special edition of APTN National News as our staff is away for part of the week. Métis Nation Saskatchewan is revamping a program to help families stay connected to their culture. The Lee Buffalo program will introduce Métis culture in an interactive way for families with young children. APTN video journalist Rachel May has that story.
It's for the kids, and that backpack with the Métis symbol, and that a way to identify themselves and be able to connect with other Métis children in their school or their summer camps or places they go that they might not know anyone, I think is really beneficial.
Heather Folds, a mother of 4, has received backpacks from MNS for her children. The backpack program has 2 parts, a back-to-school component and a cultural component called Lee Buffalo for children in preschool to grade 8. Folds believes cultural programs for young children are essential.
And one of the things we talk about how it's healing, that connection with culture to like heal some of that trauma. And so I think about, if I had been dancing younger, or that might have been I would have really enjoyed that.
The Lee Buffalo program ran last year, but focused on providing cultural items to individual children rather than families. Andrea Fiss, Director of Education at MNS, says families can now receive a package twice a year to bring them together.
With those packages, we really want to look at making sure that the family has some cultural items and games and books and things they can do together as a family to just connect with their Métis culture and heritage.
Applications for the upcoming package just opened. Packages will begin shipping in a few months' time. The contents will vary based on the age of children in the household, but through the various games, books, and family activities, there are opportunities for education. One of the aims of the program is to help in the preservation of the Métis language, Michif.
We know that particularly heritage Michif, there's not a lot of speakers, and it is in danger, of losing this language. So making sure that in the cultural packages and in any way we can, we are incorporating the language within those activities, so parents can begin to use some of that language.
MNS Minister of Early Learning and Education, Sherry McLennan, said in a statement, including the important Métis cultural components in the backpacks is a way of instilling pride in our youth. And when our children are excited about their Métis culture, they share it with their non-Métis friends and ensure our culture continues for generations to come. Families with kids in preschool to grade 8 registered with Métis Nation Saskatchewan can call 1-877-METIS-SK for information on all programs offered by MNS, including the Backpack program. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
A new mural has recently been unveiled at Ndenaway Youth Resource Center in Winnipeg's North End. The mural was done thanks to a partnership that also marks the launch of a young Dene man's art career. Our APTN reporter Veronica Blackhawk has that story.
The mural was planned as a response to Truth and Reconciliation Call to Action number 66.
Today's an exciting day. We're unveiling a beautiful mural created by an Indigenous young artist, Jedrick, and it really is based on the 66th call to action regarding the need for federal funding, multi-year federal funding to support youth programs.
The partnership, led by graffiti gallery Steve Wilson, worked with Ndenaway's executive director Shanley Scott to bring artist Jedrick Thorasi's vision to life.
And he does do very beautiful paintings, but he also does really in-depth social commentary on some of the big issues that we're experiencing across Canada right now. So residential schools, unmarked graves, a lot of the big topic issues.
With Steve and Shanley's seal of approval, the artist was given full creative control. We spoke to Jedrick about his work and what this collaboration means to him.
I just hope I could show people that you could have a really rough life, and there's people there that will help you pick yourself up and sort of change your life for the better.
What advice would you give to other young Indigenous artists looking to make an impact?
It's important to just believe in yourself and your dream. I learned that there's no set path for every artist. Every artist has their own path, and I had to find mine. So
Jedrick highlights the importance of community support, offering thanks to graffiti gallery Ndinaway and his daughter Leah. The mural aims to continue a dialogue around the importance of supporting young people with special programs as they walk their path to reconciliation. Ndinaway's efforts include Tina's Safe Haven and Safe House, both 24/7 staffed locations for at-risk youth, while Graffiti Gallery offers programming like the Artists Action Project, building partnerships with local artists like Jedrick to address the 94 calls to action through strategized mural placements.
That's the big part of it, and when someone like Jedrick can combine his artistic skill and ability and social commentary with an organization like Ndinaway, well, beautiful things can really happen as you see outside.
But the conversation shouldn't end here.
I do believe young artists need support. I actually have a lot of trouble getting support. I did find support, but I had trouble finding it.
The murals can be seen at Ndinaway offices at 650 Burroughs in North End, Winnipeg. You can find more of Jedrick's art on Instagram at Jedrick5000. For APTN National News, I'm Veronica Blackhawk.
Bentwood boxes are iconic cultural symbols of the Haida, the Tsimshian, and the Tlingit people in northwestern Canada. As Sarah Connors shows us, a bentwood box maker in northern British Columbia is passing on the traditional art form to the next generation.
Atlin-based artist Joanne Williams is a knowledge holder for a Tlingit art form that goes back thousands of years. While her methods look a bit different than those used by her ancestors, the heart of her craft is deeply rooted in tradition. That tradition is the dozens of bentwood boxes scattered across her living room.
I haven't had the living room for quite a while now, and I don't mind it because I know that it's our gold, and we both are really eager to teach and to pass on the knowledge.
Bentwood boxes were traditionally used for cooking, storage, gifts, and burial. Typically made out of cedar, they often display family crest or cultural imagery. Williams learned the art form from her grandmother, respected Atlin elder Elizabeth Nyman, as a child.
I think of my grandmother all the time, and I actually am very proud of what I'm doing for her because she actually really wanted us to teach, and she wanted to bring the boxes back to Atlin.
But don't be fooled by these boxes' simple design. Williams says a lot of skill and craftsmanship goes into making them. With a little help from husband Maurice, planks of wood are steamed until pliable.
This wood is yellow cedar. This is the lip here. I'm going to be bending it towards the lip.
The wood is then bent into shape and the two ends are temporarily screwed together while the wood dries. The pair teach the craft at schools and to anyone interested in learning.
I make the boxes very easy, and they're very thin for the teaching boxes. So yes, you'll find that they're very easy. But when you're doing the thicker box, you'll realize how hard it is. I need you to help me hold this one.
Williams estimates she and Maurice have made at least 5,000 boxes over the years. She says it's all about passing down tradition to the next generation.
If I teach one person and they teach 5 people, that's a lot of people. I got more than 2,000 people that I've taught already, so I'm pretty proud of that.
Williams hopes that by teaching bentwood box making, she can pass the feeling of achievement on to others.
And accomplishments are great to have, so I'd really like more people to experience that accomplishment. And making a bentwood box is a big accomplishment.
Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Atlin.
We want to hear from you and what you think about that story you just saw. Here's how to continue the conversation with us. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, you can go to aptnnews.ca. And you can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. A long-time First Nations newspaper in Eastern Canada has decided to shut down for good. We'll tell you why when we come back in about 3 minutes. Stick around. Welcome back. The First Nations newspaper Indian Times recently closed their doors in Akwesasne after decades in production, citing lack of funds from ad revenue. As reporter Savannah Craig shows us, many Indigenous media are experiencing barriers from funding in the effort to get their stories out there.
Indigenous media is in crisis. After 59 years in operation, Inuvik-based newspaper, the Inuvik Drum, shuttered its doors. Just weeks before, Akwesasne-based paper, Indian Time, ended operations after more than 40 years.
Indian Time opened up in 1983, so that was quite a long run. But the last few years, it was difficult to compete with online media.
Marjorie Skitters was the editor of Indian Time. She says a big void in news coverage remains at a pivotal time. As Akwesasne runs through the borders of both Canada and the United States, concern is growing as some of U.S. President Donald Trump's recent anti-immigration roundups have targeted members of the Navajo Nation.
Now there's a vacuum. There's no media for this community, and there's no media for any Native community that has lost their newspaper.
Both Indian Time and Inuvik Drum closed due to lack of ad revenue. Even an established news outlet like The Nation is experiencing issues.
We were just starting to get advertising from Facebook and that, and we were starting to use it in certain ways and expand on it, and all of a sudden there's no access.
Will Nichols runs The Nation, a news magazine serving Quebec's Cree communities. He says the meta ban has hindered their relationship across Instagram and Facebook. Nichols says The Nation also uses grants from the government, but he says these grants are very limited for Indigenous media.
Even after 35 years, I'm only making $40,000 a year, and we really can't afford to pay me any more than that.
Steve Bonspiel runs Gonawage's newspaper, The Eastern Door.
It all depends on how it's structured.
He says the paper gets some money from grants, but it is limited.
If we were only doing ad sales and only circulation, we'd be in trouble.
Out of the fire of the Oka crisis, or known to locals as the Siege of Gonasadage, The Eastern Door was born in 1992. Bonspiel says the paper amplified Indigenous voices and perspectives in the aftermath of the crisis, during a time where Indigenous voices were invisible in the media.
Other than that, all my other stories are in.
While The Eastern Door remained strong, there's always decisions about cutting costs.
Our print bill is so high. I'm like, there's going to come a time where we're like, do we cut this out? Can we make it work online?
Even outside of times of crisis, Indigenous-run media is still necessary.
It's important for the community to see themselves in the paper and in any media. That's the only way you can understand who you're writing about, who you're covering, the stories you're covering, why the trauma exists, why certain people won't look you in the eye and why others will talk your ear off for an hour, without asking one question. So all of that is understanding our communities.
Savannah Craig, APTN National News, Montreal.
A new study highlights the challenges and supports for Indigenous students embarking on their post-secondary education. It's titled Creating a Sense of Belonging. Researchers at Algoma University in Sault Ste. Marie and the University of Toronto authored the study. As APTN's Mike McDonald reports, it's aimed at identifying supports to improve access to education.
The study surveyed Indigenous students at Sault Ste. Marie's Algoma University. Dr. Rose Cameron, an associate professor with Algoma's School of Social Work, says the post-secondary experience can be challenging for students who have to venture far from their home community to go to school.
The sense of disconnection maybe, and also the loneliness as well sometimes they talked about. And of course the overall support that you would get from family was not here, so now they had to sort of navigate their space and try and find those supports here locally for themselves.
Social and financial barriers were the focus of the study. At Algoma University, the Shingwak Anishinaabe Students Association provides a variety of supports for Indigenous students.
They're in demand. They're in high demand. This past year, we've had an influx of students come to us for emergency support. So, and for us, we have some support that we give to our students, some assistance for monetary, for groceries, or for whatever they need.
Half of the participants that we interviewed had children. 2 to 3 dependents, and I think a lot of them actually really wanted to see a childcare nearby or within the university as well to really support them as young mothers to try and complete their studies.
Supports in place at Algoma include the Anishinaabe Academic Resource Center, which offers culturally affirming events including powwows, sharing circles, elder visits, and feasts. The Shingwak Anishinaabe Students Association provides a safe space specifically for the university's Indigenous students.
We have laptops available for loan, and we've also created the Elders Room, and inside of there we've added children's toys and books so that this way students with their children can feel comfortable to come in and everybody can study and everybody can do their work and the children don't have to be constantly hushed. We want this to be safe for everybody and everybody that's supporting them.
You know, it is definitely gives you that warm, welcoming, and that safe, protected environment that you need, that you just know that it's your own space. So that's very important for myself and other students, knowing that you can come here to socialize, do your work, do what you got to do, or just clear your head.
The Creating a Sense of Belonging study shows many students fear losing their connection to family and culture when they leave home. Dr. Cameron recommends that education institutes fund resource centers to support Indigenous students from an academic and social standpoint. Mike McDonald, APTN National News, Sault Ste. Marie.
The local community of Grand Prairie in Alberta came together to honor residential school students recently. That story when we come back. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Curtis stopped to take a photo of the setting sun over the lands of Fort Liard, Northwest Territories. Beauty of a view there, Curtis. Keep those pictures coming in. For the chance to be our next photo of the day, send us your photos at share@aptn.ca. The Art Gallery of Grand Prairie in Northwest Alberta recently hosted what's called the Faceless Doll project. People from all around the community created little dolls to honor the lost children at the former site of the Kamloops Residential School. APTN's Chris Stewart was also there and brings us this report.
About 30 people were on hand last Thursday to make Faceless Dolls from scratch to be a part of the Faceless Doll project. A project started in 2021 after knowledge keeper Loretta Toronto English heard about the finding of 215 potential unmarked graves at the former Kamloops Indian Residential School in BC.
When I heard that, I felt so sad, like I was so sad because I could almost feel that sadness of not having a chance to be heard or you know, to be alive or stay alive.
As a child, she had been given dolls to play with that did not have a face.
Years ago, when they'd make little dolls for like Indigenous, like we've gone through a lot of names, but Indigenous children, they wouldn't put a face on the doll. And a lot of times that display signified a presence.
And the idea to create Faceless Dolls was born to honor those 215 children with 215 faceless dolls.
Just thinking back to all the dolls that I had, and I was thinking, okay, what should I do? So one evening I just cut out a little doll, then I sewed it together and then I stuffed it. And I don't know, I just kind of felt so kind of like alive, this little doll.
She teamed up with longtime friend Natasha Okimau from the Grand Prairie Friendship Center. They needed a lot of dolls and went to elders, schools, and the community to ask them to make dolls and teach about residential school history. As a residential school and 60 Scoop survivor, Loretta is the perfect storyteller for the project.
Her and I would go and do our little presentations. We talk about the history of residential school, the impact, and she would tell the story of her dolls that her father had made for her that were faceless, because her teaching that she had received that when we put a face on an object is that we're giving it a soul. So none of her dolls had faces, and so that way it's not keeping a spirit here.
17-year-old Métis student Bella Houle made a doll for the project.
It was definitely interesting to find out about like the culture behind the faceless dolls and why they're faceless. I definitely think that was something that I think lots of people should know.
This night was the first time Loretta was able to see the display at the art gallery. She and her granddaughter walked along the many faceless dolls, each one unique. And she spotted her doll, the first one she made, the one that started the Faceless Doll project. It will run until February 16th at the art gallery and will move to its permanent home in the traditional healing garden at the Grand Prairie Friendship Center. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Grand Prairie, Alberta.
And that's your special look-back edition of APTN National News of some of the stories we recently covered while our staff is away for part of the week. From all of us at APTN National News, hi miigwech masicho kwana. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next set.